Hello and welcome to another episode of the Transformations with Jayne podcast. We're back after quite a long hiatus over the New Year holiday. I have been working on a lot of podcasts, just not my own podcast, which is kind of like the builder's house is always falling down and the chef never cooks any food for his own family, which was my father. Anyway, so before we get into the episode today, I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate that Transformations with Jayne has reached its 5th year. Oh my goodness. I just got a reminder from Instagram about it. Thank God for Instagram reminders that show you, what happened on this day X years ago. And it was like 5 years. And I was thinking, wow, look how far this podcast has come. And if you go and listen to the first episode, there's no intro music. I just get straight into it. I recorded it from start to finish. There's 0 edits. And it was enough. It was plenty to get started with. And it was quite a few episodes later that I finally got around to choosing my intro music. I actually didn't want to choose any intro music because I couldn't be bothered. I just could not choose. I had no idea what I liked. Now that I am 136 episodes into this podcast, I have found a piece of music that I like, and that is the intro music that you hear today. Lindsey Sawada is my guest for today. So let's get on with the show and let's get started with an intro. Hello, you're listening to the Transformations with Jayne podcast. I'm your host, Jayne Nakata, a New Zealander living her best life in Fukushima, Japan. I'm a podcast consultant and the creator of Pod Launch with Jayne, a system that helps you create your dream podcast without all the drama and hassle, leaving you more free time to do the things you love to do. This show is for people who want to hear stories of women who are doing amazing things here in Japan and across the world. You'll find loads of inspiration for how you can live your best life wherever you are. I'm glad you're here. Let's get on with the show. Hi, Lindsey. Welcome to the Transformations with Jayne podcast. It's great to have you back on the show again.
Thank you for asking me this time. I believe last time I asked you if I could be on it. So it's nice.
Did you? I don't remember that, but that's okay.
Yeah, very cheeky.
It was a while ago, though, wasn't it? How many years ago? It's probably at least 4 years, I think, since you were last on the show with us.
Maybe even 5. I think it was quite one of your early episodes.
It was an early one. Yeah. We probably didn't even have intro music back then.
Maybe not.
I have a feeling it was very much minimum viable product back then. But anyway, look at us. Both of us have leveled up since then. And for those who have never heard of Lindsey Sawada, could you please just introduce yourself and tell people what you do?
Yeah, well, my name's Lindsey and Lindsey Sawada. I'm a yoga teacher here in Tokyo. You might be able to tell from my accent, although some people can't anymore. I'm British. I've lived in Tokyo this year. It will be 26 years. I live with my Japanese family. I have a cat. That's about it, I think. How about that?
Yeah. And so today you're coming into us live from your beautiful yoga studio in Setagaya, isn't it? That's sort of the area of Tokyo where you are.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. In Kyoto, in Setagaya. So it's on the Odakyu line.
On the Odakyu line, there you go. My geography of Tokyo is getting much, much better since I go to Tokyo about once a month these days. I know all sorts of things, but I have to say I have not been to Setagaya yet, I don't think.
Well, they'll have to remedy that. Please come and have either yoga or some tea or both.
Yes. I'll have to put that on my schedule one time
I'm sure
when I'm
you're
down
really busy
there.
when you come. So,
Yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show today, Lindsey, was that we've been doing yoga together recently, haven't we?
We have. It's online classes on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Yeah, it's kind of magical. It's kind of magical.
Yeah, and it's such a great class. And so from my perspective as a participant, it's the perfect time of day for me. I've just shooed all of my family members out the door. I've walked the dog. I come back inside. And before I can do anything else, I just have to sit on my pre-prepared yoga mat, turn on my Zoom, get my earphones on and listen to whatever we're doing. And another thing that I really like about it is that it's a great crowd. Everybody just shows up and then we all just get on with it. You don't have to see what anybody else is doing. No comparisonitis in this class because you literally cannot see what other people are doing.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
but you can see us, right? You can see, oh, maybe she's struggling
I can
or something
see.
that you can see sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Depending on the
yeah,
camera angle.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people choose to not to turn their cameras on, but generally they've given me some information about why they might not have their cameras on.
Mm,
Maybe it's some kind of body issue they're dealing with, or
right.
maybe they're in their pajamas, like they don't want to
Yeah.
be seen online.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rock on with your
yeah,
pajamas on, like if that's what it
yeah.
takes to get you on the mat. Yeah.
Literally. So what?
Mm,
It just doesn't
mm,
matter at all.
mm,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So no
yeah,
makeup, no like hair unwashed on the, yeah, I'm just sitting there on
yeah,
my yoga mat. And then it's just the right amount of yoga for that time of day for me, right? Like it's
yeah.
not like let's all put our ankles behind our heads and
No,
sweat and
yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
It,
I mean,
my
if you want to, I'm totally open to that. I can't put my ankle behind my head.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
great. So
no,
it's very much where you were at.
I really plan it for that time of morning. It's just a nice way to open the day. We generally do some movement, a little bit of meditation, some pranayama, which is like a breathing practice.
mm.
And lately we've been working a little bit through the chakras. So we've done a little bit of mudra, which is like a
Yes, the
hand
hand
movement.
positioning
Yeah,
things.
hand
Yes.
positions. Yeah. And what else is a little bit different? We've done a little bit of chanting lately as well, which
That
is
was
unusual.
amazing.
Did you like it?
I've never done that before, that I can
No,
remember. And when I did, I was
no.
like, "Wow, I'm vibrating here!" Like,
Yeah,
it's doing something. It's working.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
great.
It's something that I haven't done in classes before because when I learned yoga and like each country has a few things that perhaps I'm going to say this basically the Om
Mm,
in there's often we chant Om in yoga, right? But when I
mm,
learnt, my teacher said to me, be careful about saying Om in class because of the Om Shindy Kill. You know the
hmm.
people that did the
Oh yes, yes.
yeah.
The sarin attack in the Tokyo
Exactly, the
subway.
Sarin effect. Yeah,
Yes.
and I want to be really respectful of the culture here and what that might mean to some people. So it
Mm,
sort of steered me away from chanting Om a little bit. And not that I haven't chanted it in other classes in Japan, it's just something that was sort of pointed out to me.
mm,
Um, but now we are bringing chanting into classes. I've sort of developed my teaching a little bit and I feel much more comfortable with it. Yeah. So
mm.
we do that too. Yeah.
Very
It's
good.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, I really like all the different things. Like it's not just yoga. That's
Mm.
something I've always struggled with yoga. Doing an hour, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Can this be over? But in Lindsay's class, there's lots of different things happening. There's chanting, there's meditations, that has things happening.
Yeah. We do a little bit
Extra
of
long at the end lying down session, which I love.
Shavasana, yeah. And maybe there's a little
Yeah.
bit of poetry in the
Yeah,
Shavasana
listening
too.
to a beautiful poem. So much
Yeah,
happening, right? It's
yeah,
not just an
yeah,
hour of like holding different poses. So
yeah.
really
It's
love that
kind
about
of
your classes. Mm.
these online classes are like my baby at the moment. I'm putting my full energy into them. So actually class this week, it took me about 8 hours to
Oh my
prepare. And
gosh.
it wasn't like it wasn't under duress. It was just sort of I kept researching
Mm.
and finding more and more things about class that I wanted to add. And then it was really hard to kind of bring it back down to condense it into
Yeah.
an hour long class. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So if anyone's ever thought, no, I don't like yoga because I find it boring, then you probably will not find this class boring.
Oh,
Is
great.
my thing. Because yeah, that's been part of my struggle to keep up with yoga, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
belief that I've had about it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. 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 And one thing I really want people to know is that there's this sort of culture of like all or nothing is not really what my yoga classes are about. Like if you don't feel well, or physically or mentally, yoga is a really nice complementary thing to do. But also like go and see your doctor or go and see someone who's sort of, got a lot of like medical training. If you may need some kind of
Mm.
therapy, some kind of medication. It's not all about sort of all about the yoga or all about the acupuncture,
Hmm.
I think it's nice
Yeah.
to have a broad range, and we've got so many services available to us that,
Mm.
yeah,
One thing in your toolbox is the yoga, right?
one
Yeah.
thing in your toolbox. That's exactly what I meant to say, but
Mm.
I said it a long way around.
What else is in your personal toolbox there, Lindsay? And,
My
I mean, you do
other than
yoga almost all day, right? Well, not all day, but every
mornings,
day. Yeah.
mornings are about yoga, but again, that's a yoga practice for other people. It's not my yoga practice.
Mm.
So I do an online class. It's not yoga. It's Tracy Anderson. Have you heard of her?
No.
She's this like beautiful 50-year-old American woman, and she has online classes, and they're hard. They're really hard.
For yoga.
I just, yeah, it's not
Mm.
yoga. It's not yoga.
Oh.
It's a physical practice. So she does something called the opening ceremony, which is moving the arms a lot. And then
Oh,
you
I
work,
know her. Now that you said
yeah,
that, now I know who
yeah.
you're talking about.
And then you
She's
work on the
tiny
legs.
little woman, right?
She's a
She's
tiny little
mm,
woman, yeah. And I'm not a tiny little woman. I'm just
mm.
big kind of oafish kind of woman. I'm very tall. And yeah, and then we do abs and we do legs, and then it's done in 30 minutes. I think there's advanced classes, but I really like to sweat first thing in the morning, and I don't
Hmm.
want to think about it. Sometimes if I'm doing yoga in the morning, I think about other people. I don't think about myself.
Hmm.
So I do that first. And then I do my work, which is teaching yoga. And then in the afternoon, I'll generally do a yoga practice for myself, which may look like asana, the moving practice, or it may look like a meditation. It may look like yoga nidra, which is like the yogic sleep. Um, it may look like a pranayama practice, a breathing practice.
Hmm.
Yeah, not all the time asana. Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
only, yeah, it's not only holding poses, is it? There's a few
yeah,
different aspects to yoga.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're coming to a sort of season where you're going to be able to do classes outside,
That's
right?
right. Yeah. So since we last spoke, we had a bit of a disaster at the studio slash house. So
Oh,
I
what
got a
happened?
studio.
I didn't know there was a
So,
disaster.
oh, didn't you know that part?
No. What was a
Yeah. So
disaster?
yeah. So in I think it was 2018, one of our neighbors' roofs blew off, and quite a big chunk of it blew onto our roof.
Mm,
And during a typhoon, yeah. So
mm.
then we had it checked and it looked fine. And then a major typhoon happened in 2019 as well. And then our roof decided
Oh,
to
okay.
blow off. Yeah. So not all of it, but a substantial chunk. And our home
Mm,
slash studio was quite old
mm,
by Japanese standards anyway.
mm.
So we rebuilt. Yeah,
Right.
long story short,
Yeah,
lots
the
of
rebuild happened just like that. And
just like that. Yeah, and now it's all fine, which it is. But yeah, it was hard. It was very hard
mm,
because it's not
yes,
something that we really planned for financially either. So
right.
yeah, it was a big process. But
Yeah.
yeah, to cut a long story short, we're now in a beautiful, brand new building. We've got a yoga studio inside, which is, to be 100% transparent or honest, it's also my living room. So
Mm.
when we practice yoga, the furniture gets pushed to the side, sofa goes on top of the table, and there's room for a max of 8 people in here.
Wow.
But the new build also allowed us to have a rooftop studio, which is much more spacious. We can get probably 15, or if we weren't in the sort of the aftermath of Corona, I would say we could fit
Mm,
20 people up there, but
mm.
not wanting to cram people in still. We're
20.
max of
Wow.
15. Yeah. And it's beautiful up there. You can see that over the rooftops from certain angles of the roof, you can see like the Sky Tree and Tokyo Tower. You can see Mount Fuji on a nice day. And it's beautiful. It's really lovely. And
Fuji. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Yoga.
we're
What?
lucky. Yeah. And
Awesome.
then, so in the
Mm.
summer, it's too hot to practice in the day, but as soon as the heat goes out of the day, about 4-ish, it's really beautiful up there. And we practice sunset yoga in the summertime.
Oh,
It's beautiful.
goodness. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
different ways that you can potentially work with Lindsay if that sounds like you, either in person or online, just like I
Yeah.
do, because I'm up here in Fukushima.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, I've been in Japan for 20 years now. I had my 20th
Yeah.
Japan anniversary last year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I can't go to a yoga class in Japanese. I really, it's not
Mm,
relaxing. It's like, what the
no.
hell are we doing now? And sort of looking
Yeah.
at people and, oh, what
Yeah.
did they say? And I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. But having
Yeah.
access to a really great English language
Yeah.
yoga class by someone also in Japan, so we're in the same season and you know what's
Yeah.
going on with
Yeah.
us. That's really, really great. Someone who understands what's happening in our daily lives. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
value that.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I really tried for a long time to do bilingual classes, and the online classes I just felt were a little bit of a disaster bilingually. Yeah, it didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel right. It didn't feel like I was able to give information in the right quality that I wanted to. So my online classes now are just in English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
been better, and for
Mm-hmm.
me, and I think definitely for the people who participate as
Mm-hmm.
well. Yeah, it just
Mm.
makes more sense. And yoga language in both English and Japanese is a little bit different
Mm.
than regular language. So I think for me, sometimes I struggle to teach things like meditation in Japanese, the honest truth. Yeah, it's very
Mm.
hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually switching a lot more of my classes to be English based with a little Japanese thrown in for the people who aren't fluent speakers of English. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's also like a bonus for them too if they want to do yoga in English, right?
Yeah,
Which
well,
is
it's interesting who you attract as well, because as soon as
mm,
you sort of start to change, your client base or your customer base changes a little bit as well. And
mm,
a lot of the Japanese people that come to class now have had some kind of link with foreign country, or they're
yeah.
going to have a link with a foreign country, they're going to
Mm,
move. So
mm,
even though maybe it has excluded a few people, I think my quality of teaching is better, and it's included other people rather,
mm-hmm,
yeah, as well. So
mm.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's sort of that can't be for everyone, have to be for someone kind of thing. And when you do
Exactly,
that,
exactly. Yeah,
you're
yeah,
surprised who shows up, right?
yes,
When you're for someone, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Mm, yeah.
So, what are you seeing as a yoga teacher? What are the ailments, complaints, things that people are suffering from these days that you're seeing a lot of coming either into your studio or in your online classes?
Yeah, a lot of neck and shoulder issues. A lot of people that are coming to class, I teach private classes as well, and probably 80% of my people that come, or people that come to private classes have got straight neck. So it's basically when your head's adjusted a little bit further forward and the natural
Mm,
curve
mm,
of your
mm,
neck isn't as curved as it should be. It's just got a little bit straight and it's really painful. Yeah.
mm,
So um, we do a lot of myofascial release, which is the release of the fascia, which is the skin of the muscle, with some little kind of massage balls. And that really helps. And I
mm,
think at the beginning, when people started to talk about it, I wasn't 100% sure that yoga was going to be able to help with it, but it
mm,
really has. Yeah.
mm,
So that's really exciting to see that within probably a month of classes, people start to feel a lot less pain in their neck and shoulders. Yeah. So that's one of the
mm,
main things. And I think just because of my position in life as well, sort of going through menopause,
mm.
I've got a lot of women that are going through menopause coming to classes as well.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
I'm not super vocal about it, but on my social media, I've talked a little bit about the hormone replacement therapy that I take.
Mm.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough people that talk about menopause. Maybe people are
There
embarrassed,
isn't.
or
Mm.
I'm not
We've
really
been taught
sure.
to be embarrassed about it. Why?
Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know, but if we're lucky
50% of
enough,
the population of the world is going to go through this. Yes.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
and the population that don't, they're going to have
Deal
to
with
go,
the
yeah,
people who
deal
are
with it,
going
yeah, because
through it. Yeah.
there's
Deal
some
with it.
repercussions of going through menopause if you're not
Mm.
able to sort of feel good about yourself. Often it sort of rubs off on the people that you're around, or
Oh,
that's definitely
definitely.
how I was feeling anyway. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So, where do we start with menopause, right? Like,
yeah,
actually, right today,
yeah,
I've been feeling very today,
yeah,
and I was trying to explain the feeling to you earlier, and I was like, I'm feeling
yeah,
dangerous today.
yeah, yeah.
Dangerous, like
Like short of temper, that kind of dangerous.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
short of temper and
yeah,
like watch out
yeah,
today. Just as well I'm
yeah,
here by myself at home and not
yeah,
likely to, you know,
yeah.
stab anyone with a knife because there's nobody here
Yeah.
to stab, right? But
Yeah. No, I
this
know
is this
exactly what you're talking about.
very scary feeling almost, right?
Mm.
That I feel this
Mm.
sort of ragey thing.
Yeah.
And actually, Dr. Mina Simic, who has also been on my podcast and is a great
Yeah.
hypnotherapist here in Japan, said to
Right.
me, you need to process that, right?
Right.
Somehow and in a
Right.
healthy way.
Right.
And I was like, well, what's a healthy way then?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her
What
thing
did
was
the
just,
doctor suggest was a healthy way? Did you
well,
get a
she
suggestion?
suggested movement is the
Right.
healthy way. So
Yeah.
walking, if you like running, some
Yeah.
kind of repetitive kind of movement that will get that out of your system. And I remember I
Right.
used to feel that from my running when I'm not haven't been running much at all
Yeah.
recently. And
Yeah.
so that's probably what I'm missing. And I walk my dog several kilometers every day, but that's not
Right.
been enough today. I've
Right.
done my meditation, it's not been enough today. Like,
Yeah. 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 And that, I mean, I can honestly say that's exactly what I was feeling as well. Like, watch out today. And
mm,
I would, if I had the wherewithal to say it to my family, I would. But sometimes you don't really know that it's coming or
creeps
it's
up on
on the
you.
horizon. That sort of that ragey kind of feeling. Yeah. And it
Mm,
wasn't nice, not nice for me, and not nice to be on the receiving end of it either.
mm.
And I don't know if it's surprising to hear somebody that teaches yoga and practices yoga regularly to say that they didn't feel good. You would think, or I perhaps thought that yoga was going to be enough to get me through it, and healthy eating and no alcohol, that kind of thing. But
Mm.
it wasn't enough for me. So I went on hormone replacement therapy.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about that. Let's hear
Okay. So
about
do you
this.
want to know the build up to it? The
Yeah,
build
yeah.
up to
Let's hear
going
the
on
whole
to it.
story. How does this
Yeah,
go?
it's shameful. I should be like bowing my head in shame right now.
Why?
So the
Why?
first bit, well, are you going to hear it? Wait. The first thing was my periods had been off for a really long time. So and it got to the point where I had to wear black yoga clothes and have a black yoga mat because I
Mm.
couldn't get through the second day of my period teaching without flooding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Right.
with using a tampon and using a sanitary towel as well. No matter what size it was, it would just flood. So
Mm.
it was a bit of a nightmare. Um, and the tiredness that came
Yeah.
before, and yeah, just not feeling very well. Probably about 10 days out of the month. Yeah, just
Mm.
the build up to it, and then the flooding, and it wasn't good. But I didn't really put that down to menopause. That the whole kind of like angry, grouchy, I don't know if I won't swear, but those kind of sensations, yeah, like the watch
Yeah.
out today,
Yeah.
it wasn't working for me and it wasn't working for family members, but I could kind of I could hold it together in public, right? But one
Yeah.
day, this is the shameful thing, a woman she was holding a baby in a sling, and she'd got a small child in a pushchair, bumped into the back of my legs, and she said, "I'm so sorry." And I said to her, "Oh dear, are there any children listening to this?" I said, "Oh, for sake."
Mm.
And then I felt so embarrassed. This poor woman hadn't meant to bump into me. I've never met her
Mm.
before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't get away from there fast enough. I just like let the ground open up and swallow me. And
Mm.
I just thought, no, that's ridiculous. I can't be behaving like that. And I shouldn't be behaving like that around my family either. Just a really short temper all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I went to my gynecologist,
Mm.
and she suggested some Campol, like the sort of herbal medicine. And I said, I don't want Campol.
I can't wait 6 months for this to start bloody working.
Yeah, give me the hormones. Give me the hormones. Yeah.
Right.
So I went on it, and for the first 10 days, it felt a bit like I was pregnant. I felt really nauseous with a bit of a headache.
Mm.
And then it went away, and for me personally, it feels like the best thing I've done for myself for a really, really long time, because now
Wow.
I'm just really even keeled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any of those issues with flooding anymore. I'm still
Mm.
getting periods. I don't think they're quite as regular as they were, but the whole, yeah, I just feel good. I feel full of energy. Yeah, it was amazing for
Wow.
me.
Mm.
I mean, there are some risks involved, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to
There's.
really talk about that because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I can
Do
only
your
give my
research.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only can give my own personal opinion,
Mm.
and it's been great for me. Really
Right.
great. Yeah, I think the only adverse effect was the first 10 days, and I probably have put on about, I don't weigh myself, but it feels in my trousers like 2 or 3 kilograms.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit thicker around my middle, which isn't
Mm.
ideal, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm coming up for 50. I
Right.
can handle a couple of extra centimeters
Yeah, so
around my waist.
let's just say some ages here. What
Mm.
age were you when you had that meltdown that you exploded
Yeah,
in public at that poor woman?
yeah, I know. Well,
Right? You must have been mortified
45.
with yourself that that had
Mm.
happened, right? I would
Yeah,
be. Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah. 45.
You're 45.
45. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So kind of early, but again, you must do your own research. But if you age 45 or over and you feel like you need hormone replacement therapy, a lot of doctors are saying now that you don't actually even need to sort of get it clarified or have some blood work or anything like that, that it's very likely that you
Mm.
do need hormone therapy. But again, please check with your doctor. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, the fact that you're probably even thinking about it means you probably bloody well
yeah,
need something.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe it's
yeah.
comp, maybe it's HRT, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah. And,
Mm.
and and that yoga does help for sure. Like if there's a day that I don't do yoga, I don't feel quite as bright in myself.
Hmm.
Um, for sure. Like it's that complementary. It's one of the tools in my box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great to hear your story. We don't
Yeah.
hear enough stories about what's going on and, what led you to decide
Yeah.
that you wanted to go down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah, and am I feeling
Yeah.
normal? Am I just being, weak-willed or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
need to suck
Yeah.
it up a bit more, and or, this
Yeah.
tiredness or feeling grumpier or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a really great documentary, and I guess if you've got a VPN, you could watch it in England. It's by a lady called Davina McCall. I suppose if you did a Google search, Davina McCall menopause documentary, it would come up.
Hmm.
And it was really wonderful. I'm not quite sure. I've been out of England for quite a long time, but I think she's a TV personality, well known in England.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what she does.
Yeah.
And she was really struggling with menopause. So
Hmm.
she created this documentary with a lot of doctors about what to do about it, how to feel better, and about the safety of HRT. And that was really wonderful to watch as well. I think probably that was put out maybe 2 years ago,
Hmm.
but I'm sure it's still available if you
Mm.
can probably find it somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll have to give me the spelling later so that I
I will
get that
do.
right, and we'll put something in the
Yeah,
show notes
let me
people
write that
can
in my
look
book so we
through.
don't forget. Davina McCall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 how do you know if you've got a good doctor here in Japan? Like, I mean, you mentioned your
yeah.
gynecologist is a woman,
Gynecologist.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, I went to somebody. I was having an episode. Really funny word, isn't it? That's the kind of
Yeah.
thing my
Yeah.
grandma would say. An
Yes, right.
episode. One of the days where I was flooding really badly,
Mm.
and it was kind of out of control. It was the worst it had ever been. So I went to a female doctor, the place near where I was working. I got sort of an emergency appointment, and she was awful. I
Mm.
mean, truly horrible and mean. It's just your
Mm.
age, you're over exaggerating, you're going to have to get used to it. And I sort of came out of there thinking, wow, I'm really being dramatic. But there was not a nice, there was no
Mm.
kind words. And I just
Mm.
thought that isn't the
Mm.
end of it. Like I shouldn't have to just get used to
You
it.
shouldn't have to,
So
yeah, just put it up
yeah,
with flooding.
yeah, just put up
Flooding.
with it. Just put up with it. It's your age. Yeah.
Too bad for
Um,
you. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
That's
that wasn't
awful.
useful at all. Um, and then I found another female doctor in Shimogizawa. I won't say her name because I don't think it's fair because I haven't asked her to, but she's a gynecologist and she speaks English here, and I really like her. Um, I think it has been said that she will try and give you Campor, right?
Hmm.
But if you ask for what you want, she's going to give it to you.
Hmm.
Yeah, but you
To
sort of
speak
have to
up.
know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speak up for yourself. And if you can't, take a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Take a friend who's going to speak up for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And ask her what you want. I actually, maybe it's not fair to share her information about that too, but she's pro HRT. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think she's great. I do have a friend who's not so keen on her. So again, maybe it's a little bit of
Yeah.
a personal thing. Maybe how you go in there if you're not feeling great, if you're feeling dangerous on that day.
Which is why you're probably there in the first place.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
anyway,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But she's been super helpful with me. And just recently, I think it was December, they've brought in bioidentical hormones. Um,
Mm,
Again, please look it up online. I'm not a
mm,
doctor, but I'll explain it the best way I can. I think before the hormones that are on were synthetic,
mm-hmm.
and these ones are from plants. And I think the difference is that there's a slightly reduced risk of breast cancer. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the deal. Yeah.
Right.
I think so, I've got a couple of friends who are on patches, and I think they're
Mm,
a little bit further along in their menopausal journey than I am. So they're
mm-hmm.
getting either no periods or really, really irregular periods.
Mm,
And I think they really like the patches. And again, I think that's even less chance of breast cancer.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
please do your own research on that, because that's just sort
Yeah.
of what I remember. Yeah, I haven't researched
Mm.
before we've talked or anything like that. So it's sort of just in the back of my mind. Yeah.
Okay, so things are also sort of progressing with the actual
In Japan. Yeah.
therapy that people are
Yeah.
getting, the kinds of
Yeah.
drugs you can get or patches or whatever. I didn't even know there
Exactly.
were
Yeah.
patches.
Yeah.
So slow release, obviously, of the actual
Yeah. Like transdermal
mm,
release. Yeah. Rather than taking a
popping a
pill.
pill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that sounds like sign me up, but I'm not sure my family history would pass the test for HRT.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a big worry, but that was one of the things that that documentary made a little bit clearer, that I'm not quite sure. Was it the 1980s that that big sort of scare came out that you shouldn't have HRT if you've got any risk of breast cancer in your family or something like
Mm,
that?
yeah.
But they've sort of since proved not, it's not as serious as they thought it was. Let's just put it
Right.
like that. And is it
Mm-hmm.
something like, everyone's going to have to look at their own numbers, but it's a very, very minimal risk, I
Mm-hmm.
think, of getting
Mm-hmm.
breast cancer from HRT,
Mm,
much less than they originally thought. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah. Re-educate
research.
yourself, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
If your assumptions are from whatever was the knowledge of 1984, then
yeah, yeah,
maybe time to
yeah, yeah,
reassess, yeah,
yeah,
what it is today in 2023. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Which is
Yeah.
what,
Well,
how many years later? 40 years later?
oh my God, I can't even calculate that because it's one of those because it's a ragey day and no maths today, please. Where's my calculator? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
oh,
gosh. Yeah, that sort of brain foggy feeling I've been feeling. On
yeah,
the weekend, I was at an event and it was a Japanese event, and I was
yeah,
struggling to put a
yeah,
sentence together in Japanese. And I was like,
yeah,
what's wrong with me? Like, and I
yeah,
could see on the faces of the people I was talking to, they were like, what the hell
yeah,
what's she trying to say? Like
yeah,
they were confused.
yeah,
I was struggling to, so it
yeah,
wasn't difficult what we were discussing, it was just sort of like
yeah,
chatting. And
yeah,
everything that came out of my mouth just sounded like rubbish. And I was like, who since when can you not speak Japanese?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
seriously, that was such a weird feeling. I was like, oh, I
yeah,
got Alzheimer's. Am I, early
yeah,
onset dementia or something? It's probably
yeah,
not. It's probably just my
yeah, yeah. And
menopausal brain
another thing
fog.
something
Mm.
that's been mentioned to me, definitely the brain fog is a real thing. I don't know if you've had COVID lately. I had COVID in November, and my brain is still foggy. I think I've got long COVID.
Mm.
I
Oh, I
think I
had
think that's,
COVID back in summer last year, so it's been a
yeah,
while. But
yeah. So it's unlikely to be, but
mm,
yeah, it was something that was suggested to me, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe so.
maybe.
So a
Mm.
little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, well, it was just really intense on the weekend at this thing. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Like, because I was thinking, what's wrong? You were fine on Thursday when you were
yeah,
speaking Japanese. You had no problem, but
yeah,
today you can barely string a sentence together. What is going
yeah.
on here?
Yeah, it's
It was
very
very weird.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And were the you were with people that you've known for a while as well?
No,
No.
no. So it was like they must think I'm a complete weirdo. Oh my God, like,
No, oh no, that yeah.
like they were kind people,
Mm,
like they weren't
mm.
like, what, but I could just see on their faces they were like, what is she, you could see my face like the, yeah. I was like, jeez, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
what I needed. That, and I was already struggling
right.
with the whole being in this particular very Japanese event anyway. It was a
Yeah.
graduation ceremony for my son's baseball team.
Wow,
And
okay.
it was full on. Like, if you've ever been to a graduation ceremony for
Yeah,
school or like high school or something, but
yeah.
this is for a baseball team, and it was full on. And it was like kids
Wow.
reading these heartfelt letters to their parents, and
Oh,
flowers, and being, giving bunches of flowers, and everybody getting these really nice certificates and playing on this
yeah,
music and videos and
right.
things. Oh my God, what an event,
Yeah,
for my
yeah.
son's elementary school baseball team.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And it was the first time
Yeah,
for us to be part of it because we just joined in the last year. And so I was
right,
like, I have to go and learn what happens, like this is our initiation,
right,
timed. And
right.
yeah, and then just feeling like I was like, I have no idea what anyone just said in any of those speeches. It all just went right over my head at the end. I was like, it was probably just as well because I would have cried my eyes out because the video that they played of like they had, the four kids who were leaving the team, they had this
Right.
video put together of them doing things and their parents, and it was
Yeah,
very moving, and the
yeah,
tears were sort of kept flowing. I was like,
yeah.
I am glad I cannot understand what the mums are saying in their little speeches because I would just be like, "Ah!" And I'm like, I've only been in this team since April. Jesus, get a grip.
Sometimes it gets you like that though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When I was a nanny first here in Tokyo, I went to a Christmas concert and
Oh
one of the,
gosh,
yeah, I
yes.
could not stop crying. And the lady next to me said, which one is your child?
None
So I
of
just
them.
randomly pointed, like, oh, that one over there. I'm so
All of
embarrassed.
them.
None of these are my children. None
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I think we are easily moved, but
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
goodness, yeah. That
yeah.
they love a good cry fest, in Japan, right? They
They
love a
do, but
tear
not,
jerking cry fest.
they love it. Why is it? Is it because, like, on day-to-day basis, they don't do that at all? Very sort of like,
Potentially, this is you're allowed
yeah,
to cry now, so let's get
yeah,
it all out. Your year's
yeah,
worth of crying at
yeah,
this one very sentimental
yeah,
event, yeah, whatever it might be. Yeah, that was a
yeah.
surprise because I was like, I think it was the very first time I ever went to any kind of graduation ceremony. I was like, what are you all got your tissues out for? Like, seriously? But by the end of it, I was like, ah, oh my God, so sad. Yeah,
Wow,
I
that was
get it.
funny. That was
Yeah, I get it.
funny.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
we've gone on this emotional roller coaster of like from feeling dangerous to laughing hysterically and having a bit of tears remembering the event that
yeah,
happened last weekend. Anyway,
yeah,
yes, this is
yeah,
how it is, right?
yeah. Well, I don't, thank you for asking me, Jane, because I don't think enough people talk about menopause,
No,
and we
no.
really need to because
Mm.
it's everyone's going to, well, not everybody, women are going to go through it if they reach the age that we've reached, and it's important to have more information about it, and important for people to talk about it normally and not be embarrassed about it.
Yes, and I like that. I just recently I heard a different podcast. I'll put the link in the show notes. Someone speaking about menopause and the
Yeah,
good things about it, and I'm like,
yeah,
finally,
yeah,
somebody talking
yeah,
about what we can look forward to here. Like, it's not the
yeah,
end of the bloody world, and actually, there are some good things coming. So, if
yeah,
you can get through this tricky part,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
was a real relief because, yeah, like your life
yeah,
as you know it is changing, right?
yeah,
In some ways,
yeah.
and there are things to look forward to. Don't worry, it's
Yeah, yeah. A friend of mine explained it to me, and I thought, "Oh, this sounds amazing." Like a crazy person has left the building, has left her body. She said she feels like sort of like something was like inhabiting her body, and
Mm,
it was making her do crazy things, and now it's gone.
there you go.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
nice
I
to
hope she
me.
moves out soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of the things.
Mm.
Yeah, it was something else like, oh, just the emotional drain of like having to worry about, oh, am I going to get my period when I'm trying to go on my bloody beach holiday or whatever,
Right.
or
Right.
that, have I got enough things, or what if there's an
Yeah.
earthquake and then I get my period and I'm in
Yeah.
an earthquake shelter, like worst case scenario thinking, but
Right.
you don't need to think about that anymore was
Yeah.
one thing. I'm like, yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be brilliant. No more cramps, no
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that
For
stuff.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's just some of the very superficial things, but actually there was some other, yeah, more deeper sort of
Yeah.
things that, yeah, the load that's gone from you,
Yeah.
and then it's
Well,
your turn
I'm
to.
yet to come out of the other side, but I definitely, like, if you're
Mm,
struggling like I was struggling,
mm,
or even if you're not struggling like I was struggling, just a little bit, then yeah, there's things you can do about it. And I feel really good. I feel full of energy all the
mm,
time.
mm,
It's just sort of not, it's a non-issue for me really anymore.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe start looking at that before you get to the point where you,
Yeah,
yeah, something happens where you hit a rock bottom kind of situation that you
yeah,
need to go and sort it out. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not nice to be shouting at people who or sort of cross with people on the street that are very apologetic for a mistake that they've made. And that's not me, actually. And it's,
No, that's not the Lindsay we know and love at all, right? You must have
no,
felt, yeah, really like a different person. Yeah,
yeah,
that's, oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Well, that's awesome that you've had such a great relief by using the HRT.
yeah,
Yeah, and you were
yeah,
also doing all the other things as well, aren't you? Like
yeah,
doing
yeah.
the
Oh,
yoga and things
yeah,
as well.
trying to eat healthy.
Trying to eat healthy. Yeah.
Try and I mean, I don't drink at home by myself, but when I go out, try to remember that I'm not 17 anymore or
Oh, I
have too many
know,
drinks.
right?
I mean, yeah, that kind of thing.
Mm. I
Mm.
wonder if that's going to get better. I've heard that it's only temporary. that
Ooh.
that when you come out the other end, you can actually handle alcohol again. Because I certainly cannot at the moment, and
Okay,
I always have been able to. And I'm like, wow,
okay.
what is this? But anyway, we're probably better off without alcohol. But
Without it, yeah,
it is nice not to be punished for one beer for the next
yeah,
day. That kind of
yeah,
level. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Or get that like hot flash after your glass of wine or something like that.
Wake up in the middle of the night roasting because you've had a beer. Oh my goodness.
My husband, like when he's asleep, if he looks cold, like I put an extra blanket on over him. And then I think to reciprocate, I think he thinks it's a good idea to put an extra blanket on him. Get off! Get
Damn
off!
you.
I'm laying here in December with no clothes on and no sun on because I'm really warm.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband has got like double the blankets that I
Yeah,
have. And I'm
yeah,
like, this surely it's the round the other way, right? But no,
yeah.
not in our family. I'm like, we've had to separate our blanket situation because just too different.
Yeah,
And it
two
works much
completely.
better now. It's like,
Yeah.
don't come over here with your hotness and it's cold over here, so you probably don't want to come over here. Yeah.
We do an exchange of body heat. Say you're getting to bed now. He's the one with cold feet, and he'll put his cold feet on my
Ah,
legs, and I'm like, oh, that's
thank you.
blessing. As soon as his
Yeah.
feet warm up from my warm legs, then they're
Yeah.
shifted off to the
Yeah.
other side of the bed. Yeah.
Yeah. Reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us today, Lindsay. And I
Of
hope it does
course.
help
Thank
some
you.
people to sort of think about, yeah, is there something that they could actually start researching and looking at? Do they need to get
Yeah.
some help in some way?
Yeah.
Maybe it's
And
just a,
privately, I
mm,
would be very happy to say which doctor I go to, but I'm not sure
sure.
it's a great idea to say
Yeah. Yeah.
publicly. So if
Yeah.
anybody, I'll give you the information and either
Mm,
anybody can contact me or they can contact you. And then if they're in
yeah.
Tokyo, it
That
might be
sounds
helpful.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's always good to know a doctor
Yeah.
who at least someone's had a good good
The
run
experience.
in
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's really fantastic. We will link all of that up in the show notes. So
great.
yeah, and make
Thank
sure
you.
you check out one of Lindsay's classes. Just give it a go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like show up. You don't have to know anyone. You just come
Yeah.
along and
And if you're working in an office and you're interested in having yoga in your office, I've recently been teaching
mm,
yoga for people in the office too. And it's chair yoga. You don't have to get changed. The only thing I would say is probably better to wear trousers than a skirt. Yeah, and
mm,
we just do a little bit of movement in your chair at your desk, and it's really nice. It really works really well for
mm,
shoulders and neck.
yeah.
And
That's
Yeah, and a
brilliant.
bit of an extra breathing practice. So yeah,
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
available too
great.
if you want it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. We'll keep in
Mm.
touch, Lindsay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for asking me on, Jane.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye.